Some stories begin with fireworks, others start with slow glances and unspoken words. Mine began with silence, the kind that fills the room at night when the world is asleep and you wake up to something or someone that changes everything. My name is Alex. I used to believe life was predictable. That love only came in certain shapes wrapped in neat little boxes society handed us. Then Brandon, my straight best friend since high school, came into my room one quiet summer night. He wasn't supposed to. He wasn't supposed to blurt lines to shake the ground. I stuttered. But he did. And that night, it changed both of us in ways neither of us are coming. This is our story. The night was warm. One of those lazy summer nights when the air felt thick and still. My window was half open, the curtains swaying softly with the occasional breeze. I had fallen asleep early, exhausted from another day at the construction site where I work at part-time. I was dreaming about nothing in particular when I felt it, a faint shift in the air. The floorboards creaked near the door. My eyes fluttered open. Brandon. My voice was groggy, confused. He stood there, his tall frame outlined, be the soft yellow glow from the hallway. Messy brown hair, a plain white check shirt clinging to his chest, gray sweat pants. He looked hesitant. "Hey," he said softly, almost like he was afraid to wake me. "Sorry I didn't minto barge in." I pushed myself up on my elbows, rubbing my eyes. "It's fine. What's up?" Brandon and I had been friends for years. We met in high school, when he transferred from another state. He was the kind of guy everyone liked, funny. It's going straight to the point. Girls crushed on him. Guys wanted to hang out with him. Me, I was the quiet Aron, the artist. The guy who sketched in the corner while the world passed by. Somehow, we became inseparable. But Buthis was different. He never came to my room this late. Dottie shifted awkwardly, looking everywhere but at me. Couldn't sleep. Thought maybe I don't now. Maybe we could talk. I patted the edge of my bed. Sure, he sat down, the mattress dipping slightly under his weight. I could feel the warmth radiating from him, even though we weren't touching. It was strange how aware I was of him all of a sudden. "You okay?" I asked. He hesitated. "Yeah, just stuff on my mind, I guess." We sat there in silence for a moment. Theon Lee's sound was the faint buzz of a street lamp outside. Then he spoke again, voice low. "Do you ever feel like don't know yourself anymore?" I turned to look at him. His expression was unreadable, eyes fixed on the floor. "What do you mean?" I asked Dot. He shrugged, exhaling slowly. "I don't know. Lately, I've been thinking about things. Stuff I never questioned at Bor. Like who I am, what I want." There was a weight in his words, something raw and unpolished. I felt my chest tighten. I knew Brandon, or at least I thought I did. "You mean with relationships? With girls?" I asked her fully. Patty glanced at me then, eyes searching mine. Maybe not just girls." The words hung there between us. My pulse quickened. Brandon had always been straight. At least that's what I believed. He dated girls, had crushes, made jokes about locker room stuff, like every other guy. But right now, sitting on my bed in the middle of the night, there was a different energy in the room. I swallowed hard. "What are you seeing, Brandon?" He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. "I don't know, man. I keep thinking about you, Abudis, and it's confusing the hell out of him." The words hit me like a tidal wave. Me? ? My chest felt tight, my thoughts spinning. Part of me wanted to ask what he meant. Another part was scared to. Brandon stood abruptly, pacing the small room. "Forget it. I shouldn't have said anything." "Brandon," I said softly. He stopped, hands on his hips, shoulders tense. His back was to me. "I'm serious," he said. "I've been trying to figure out why I feel different around you. Why I daren't. No wanting to be around you more than anyone else. It's messing with my head." I got up slowly, standing behind him. "So, what do you feel when you're around me?" He turned then, and for the first time that night, our eyes locked. There was something vulnerable in his gaze, something I had never seen before. "I feel safe," he admitted, "like I can breathe. Like I don't have to be the Gavirian expects me to be." His words hit deep, because that's exactly what I felt with him too. The silence stretched again, thicker this time. The only sound was the faint chirping off crickets. Outside then, so quietly. "I almost missed it," he said. "I didn't know what this means. Alex, but I didn't want to lose you." My chest ached head and realized he couldn't. "Lose me, even if he tried, you won't," I said firmly. Stood there in the soft glow of the Holloway light, to friends on the edge of something. Neither of us fully understood you that. Was the night everything? Changed. The next morning, sunlight spilled through my window, painting golden streaks across Theffler. My room was quiet, except for the and hum of traffic outside. Brandon was gone. It wasn't like him to leave without saying anything. I sat up, the conversation from last night looping through my mind like Abracan record. The way he looked at me, the things he said. "I keep thinking about you. I feel safe with you. I don't want Talos, you." They were the kind off words that burrowed deep. Words Yucatan unhear once spoken. I pulled on a t-shirt and headed to Thekachin. Brandon was there, standing by the counter pouring himself coffee. He looked tired, like he hadn't slept at all. His hair was still messy, his shirt wrinkled, but there was something about the way he stood, shoulders tense, jaws set. That told me he was lost in his own head. "Morning," I said carefully. He glanced at Tem, managing a faint smile. "Hey." I leaned against the counter, crossing my arms. "You left pretty early, yeah," he said. Eyes fixed on his coffee like it held the answers to all his problems. "Needed some air." I studied him for a moment. He wasn't usually this quiet. Brandon was the guy who cracked jokes over breakfast. The guy who felled silences before they even settled. "Yow okay?" I asked finally. Handed it, then shook his head. "I don't now, man." The way his voice cracked on thought last word made something twist in my chest. "About last night?" I asked it softly. He looked at me then, his brown eyes searching mine, like he wastering to read. What I was thinking bore he said anything. "Yeah," I admitted. "I didn't plan to say any af that. It just came out." I nodded slowly. "And do you regret it?" His gaze dropped to the floor. "No, that's the problem. I didn't." The words settled between us like dust and sunlight. Soft, but impossible to ignore. We spent most of the day pretending things. "Where are normal?" Brandon helped me fix the squeaky back door. "We grabbed lunch at Ethy Diner like we always did. And we even talked about the upcoming local baseball game." But underneath the small talk, there was a new current between us. Subtle, electric, unspoken. Every time our shoulders brushed when we reached for the ketchup bottle, I felt it. Every time his eyes lingered on Minea a moment too long, I felt it. And I was pretty sure he felt it too. That evening, we sat on the porch, watching the sun sink behind the trees. Brandon leaned back in the old wooden chair, arms crossed behind his head, looking more relaxed than he had all day. "You remember senior year?" he said suddenly. I smiled faintly. "Yeah, hard to forget. You carried the whole basketball team on your back," he smirked. "And you sat inth stand sketching instead, off cheering." I cheered. I protested. He laughed, and the sound was easy warm, like the old days before things got complicated. Then Heist's expression softened. "That was a good year. You were always there, you know, even when things at home were rough." He looked at him curiously. He didn't talk about his family much. Eek knew. His dad was strict, his mom quiet. The kind of house where feelings were something you kept locked away. "Of course I was there," I said. "You were my best friend." He was quiet for a moment, staring at the fading sky. "Sometimes I think you were the only one we only saw me," he said finally. Did something about the way he said it, how honest, so unguarded, May made my chest tash. Brandon, I said softly, I still see you. Our eyes met then, and the air between us shifted again, heavy with something neither of us had words for yet. Later that night came tummy room again. This time Heck knocked first. Hey, he said, leaning against the door frame. He looked uncertain, like he was standing on the edge of something big and didn't know whether to jump. Hey, I said, setting me book aside. He stepped in, hands in his pockets. Can we talk? Sure. Hess sat on the edge of my bed. The same spot as last night, but this time there was no awkward silence. He looked straight at me. I've been thinking all day, Hest. About what I said. About us. My heartbeat quickened. Okay. I don't know what's happening, Tome, he admitted, voice low. I've never felt this way about a guy before, about Tinian, really. It's like you're in my head and I can't shut it off. His words were raw, stumbling like he was piecing them together as he spoke. I sat down beside him. Brandon, it's okay to be confused. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. He looked at Methan, really looked like he was seeing for the first time all over again. That's the thing, he said. When I'm around you, it doesn't feel confusing, it feels right. Like this is where I'm supposed to be. My chest tightened. We sat there. The space between us shrinking with every passing second. Then so softly I almost dined him. He said, Do you ever wonder what it would be like if things were different between us? I swallowed hard. Yeah, I admitted. I do. His shoulders stretched like he had been holding his breath, waiting for my answer. And in that moment, with the soft hum off crickets outside and the faint glow off the lamp casting shadows on the wall, I realized we were both standing at the edge of something that could change everything. That night, we didn't cross any lines, but the way he looked at me before he left my room told me it was only a matter of time. The next few days felt like living in a storm. Cloud. Not the kind that tripped through towns and left destruction in its wake, but the quiet kind, the kind that built slowly, rumbling in the distance, filling Thea with a charge you could almost taste. Brandon and I moved around each other like we always did, grabbing lunch, watching movies, shooting hoops in the driveway. But under the surface, things weren't the same. They couldn't be. Not after the late-night talks. Not after the looks that lingered too long. Not after the words who both left unsaid. One evening we ended up at the lake. It wasn't planned. We were driving around aimlessly, windows down, music low, when Brandon said, Let's go to the water. We haven't been there in forever. The lake was where we used to spend summers as kids, fishing. Swimming, lying on the dock at night, watching stars scatter across the esky. It felt like our place. By the time we got there, the sun was melting Jinto, the horizon, staining the water orange and gold. Brandon parked that trek, and we sat on the hood watching. Colors shift. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then he said softly, I feel like I'm living Summy and Nils's life. I turned to look at him. What do you mean? He kept his eyes on the water. All my life, people told Muho I was the straight guy, the athlete, the one with everything figured out. His jaw tightened. But that's not how it feels inside. No Tanamore. I listened. Heart pounding. He ran a hand through his hair. And then there's you. You've been here through all of it. And lately, I can't stop thinking. What if the person I want docent fit into the box everyone put main? The wind carried his words across water. Quiet but heavy. I swallowed herd. And do you know what you want? He finally looked at me then, and the ear between us shifted like it always did. I think so, he said softly. Something in his voice made my chest tighten. We sat there until the sky turned dark. The air cooling around us. The only sound was the soft lapping of water against the shore. I wanted to ask him what he meant. I wanted him to say it tout loud. That maybe, just maybe, he felt what I felt. But but I didn't push. Dot. Because sometimes the words you don't say are louder than the ones you do. Dot. That night back at the house it happened. Not the confession. Not yet, but something close. I was in my room sketching when he came in. No knock this time. You ever feel like you're about to jump off a cliff? He asked suddenly. I set my pencil down. Ah, sometimes. Why? He paced the room restless because of that's what this feels like. You, me, whatever this is. My pulse quickened. Dot. He stopped pacing and turned toward him. His eyes were dark, stormy, like Hua standing on the edge of something heckled in control. I don't know how to say this without screwing it up, He said. Say what? I asked, voice barely jabo of a whisper. That I can't stop thinking about you, he said finally. That maybe I don't care what box people put me in anymore. The words crashed into me like waves. Brandon, I started, but he cut me off. No. Listen, he said, his voice shaking. I've been trying to fight it. Tell myself it's just confusion, that it's just because you're me best friend. But it's not going away, and I don't want it to. My heart was pounding so hard I thought he could hear it. He ran a hand over his face. Frustrated. I don't know what this makes me, Alex. I just know that when I'm around you, everything feels right. And when I'm not, it doesn't. The room felt smaller. Somehow, like the walls were closing in, I stood slowly, crossing the space between us. Brandon, I said softly, you don't have veto label it. You don't have to figure it all out tonight. His eyes searched mine. Then what do I do? I took a shaky breath. Start with what you feel right now in this moment. He looked at me then like he was about to say something. Laika was finally ready to jump off that cliff when the front door slammed on stairs. We both froze. His sister had come home early. Firmament shattered like glass. Brandon stepped back, raking a hand through his hair. I need some air, he muttered before slipping out of their room. And just like that, the confession hung between us. Unfinished but undeniable. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. Because even though he didn't say the words, I already knew what they were. 2 days passed after the almost dash confession. 2 days of Brandon barely meeting my eyes. 2 days of conversations that felt too light, too careful, like we were pretending nothing had happened. 2 days of me lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if we had missed our moment. By the third night, I couldn't take it anymore. Brandon was on the porch when I found him. He was sitting on the steps, with his elbows resting on his knees, staring out at the dark yard like a held all the answers. The porch light cast a soft glow over him, outlining the shoulders of his shoulders, the sharp linea off his jaw. He didn't look up when I sat beside him. You've been quiet, I said softly. He shrugged. Got a low tone in my mind. The crickets filled the silence between us. Is it about theater night? I asked. His jaw tightened. Yeah. We sat there for a long moment before he finally turned to look at me. His eyes were dark. Serious. I'm scared, Alex, he admitted. The words caught me off guard. Brandon never admitted fear. Not about sports? Not about fights with his dad. Not about anything. Scared of what? I asked gently. He exhaled slowly. Scared that if I say this out loud, nothing will ever be the same. That I can't take it back. Istidite his face, the way his fingers twisted together nervously. Maybe some things aren't meant to be taken back, I said quietly. He looked at me then, really looked like he was searching for something in my expression. And whatever he saw there must have given him courage. Because he said, voice low but steady, I like you, Alex. It's more than a friend. Maybe I've liked you for a long time and just didn't let myself see it. My heart thudded in my chest. He kept going, the words spilling out like he'd been holding them in for too long. When I'm around you, It's like everything McKeeson's. Like all the noise in my head finally shuts off. And it scares the whole out of me, because I've never felt this way about anyone before. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. I didn't know what this makes me. I don't even care. I can't keep pretending. I don't feel it. The nighter felt heavy, thick, with everything hanging between us. I didn't speak right away. I couldn't. My chest felt too full. Finally, I said softly. Brandon, you have no idea how long I've been waiting to hear that. His head snapped toward me, eyes wide. You what? I nodded slowly. I like you too. More than I ever planned to, more than I thought I could. For a moment, he just stared at me like he was trying to make sure he'd heard me right. Then he lawed softly, shaking his head like heckle didn't believe it. We sat there under the porch light, the air thick with everything we'd both finally said out loud. It felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. But this time neither of us was backing away. Brandon's voice was low when he finally spoke again. So what now? I smiled faintly. Now we stopped pretending. We didn't kiss that night. But the way he looked at me before we went inside, like he was memorizing my face, like he was seeing me in a way he never had before. It said everything words couldn't. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could finally breathe. That the next day was different. Not in big, dramatic ways, but in small ones. The way his shoulder brushed mine when we walked down the hall, the asterisk. Way he smiled at me across the table when no one else was looking. The way his hand lingered just a little longer when he handed me a coffee mug. Little things that felt bigger because of everything we'd finally admitted. That evening, we ended up back at the lake. It was quiet. The water reflecting the moonlight like silver glass. We sat on the dock with our feet dangling above the water, the air cool against Erskine. Brandon was silent for a long time before he said, I don't know where this goes, Alex. I've never done this before. I don't even know what I'm doing. I turned to look at him. You'd have to have it all figured out. We can take it one step at a time. He nodded slowly, like he was turning words over in his mind. Yeah, he said softly. One step at a time. And when her hands brushed on the dock, neither of us pulled away. That was the moment I knew. We were crossing the line from friendship into something else. Something real. Something terrifying. Something worth it. The days after Brandon's confession felt different. Not in the way movies make it. Seem with dramatic music and sweeping changes, but in quieter ways. The way he leaned a little closer when we talked. The way he laughed more riotously, like a weight had lifted. The way he looked at me when he thought I wasn't paying attention. It's like I was someone Hugh was learning all over again. It was new. It was terrifying. It was perfect. Not one evening, about a week later, he showed up at my door with that look on his face. The one he got before basketball games when he was nervous but ready to throw himself into it anyway. Hey, he said softly. Hey, I said, setting down my sketchbook. He stood there for a moment, like he was gathering courage. Then he said, come with me. We ended up at the lake again. It had become our place. The Enlissa pot where things made sense. The moon was high, silver light spilling across the water. The air was cool, carrying a scent of pine and earth. West stood on the dock, silent for a while. Finally, he turned to me, his expression serious. I've been thinking a lot, he said, raised a brow. About us, a boot what happens next. He paused, shoving his hands into his pockets. I don't want this to be just something that happened on summer. I don't want to look back and wish I'd been braver. My chest tightened. He stepped closer, his voice low but steady. I want to know what this could be, Alex. I want to see where it goes. The words hit deep, filling a space inside me I had realized was empty until now. I swallowed hard. Are you sure? He nodded. I've never been more sure of anything. His eyes held mine, and for the first time, there was no hesitation, No fear. It's just honesty. Dot. And that was themament. It happened. He reached for me hands slowly, like he was asking a question without words. I didn't pull away. Dot. Our fingers intertwined, and it felt right. Simple like this was how it was always supposed to be. Dot. West. Did there on the dock. The cool breeze brushing against us, the water lapping softly below. Dot. And then finally, Helen did. Dot. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't nervous. It was steady, warm, certain. Dot. Our first kiss was soft, careful. Like we were both realizing at the same time that we had just crossed a dinto, something we could never take back. Dot. Something. We didn't want to. Dot. When we pulled back, he smiled. The trill smile of his, the one that reached at his eyes. Yeah, he said softly. That feels right, I laughed quietly, my chest feeling lighter than it had in years. It does. We sat on the dock after that, shoulder stouching, hands still tangled together. Dot. Dot. And for the first time since that night, he walked into my room. There was no confusion, no fear. Dot. Just us. Dot. Over the next weeks, we figured things out slowly. Dot. Telling close friends. Spending time together without labels, without pressure, letting it grow naturally. Dot. Some people were surprised. Some didn't understand. Dot. Dot. But it didn't matter. Dot. Because first time, we weren't hiding from it anymore. Out one night as we watched the sunset from the porch, Brandon turned to me and said, "You know what best part is?" I raised a brow. What? He smiled softly. I didn't just fall for anyone. I fell for my best friend. And he was right. Because somewhere between the late night talks, the almost confessions, the quiet moments on Thetic, and the first kiss under the moonlight, we stopped being just Alexander Brandon. Dot. We became something more. Something real. Dot. Something worth everything it took to get here. Dot. Looking back now, I realized that night he first came into my room was an start of something messy or confusing. It was the start of something honest, something that taught us love doesn't always come the way you expected, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop pretending. You don't feel it, though, Brandon and I. We didn't have all things worse, but we had each. Other dotn't, that was enough.